Good morning. I'm just doing a sound check. We're going to go live at 10:30 with the Q&A session for lesson 4. I'm just going to check that we can transition to Scratch and show you a couple of things there. So here's the website, earthgames.uk, and here's our Scratch program. I'm just going to look at the hog house down here. There we go. And there's no code in here. And I am going to show you some things about the costume in here. That all looks good. I will now transition back to the holding screen and I'll be live at 10:30. Look forward to seeing you then. Good morning and welcome to the live stream question and answer session for lesson 4, winning and losing in the hedgehog conservation game on Scratch. It's lovely you can join us this morning. I'm going to cover stuff about lesson 4, but if there's anything you want to ask about any of the other lessons, that's absolutely fine. Ask in the chat on the side there. Tell us what problems you've been having, what questions you've got, and we'll cover them during the lesson. So I'm just going to go over a couple of common problems that people have because I've seen these in the classroom before. Let's see if those help answer any questions you might have. Firstly, a common problem I found is that using this sensing block, sometimes you can't find the drop down that you're looking for. Here you can see there are tons of sprites and perhaps you can't find the hog house one. Now there's two reasons you might not be able to find it. One is that your sprites might not be named correctly. So remember when we designed the hog house, down here you have to name it. So make sure you name it hog house or you won't be able to find it. Because if you add another sprite, if I go down here and add another one, it just calls it sprite 1, and if I add another one, we get sprite 2. You can't tell what they are unless you name them here. So make sure you name them. Otherwise, you haven't a clue which one you're going to do. So that's a common problem. The other thing is if you've made your code in the wrong place. So we were making our code in the hedgehog code area. In the corner, you see the hedgehog, and the hedgehog is highlighted down here. However, you might have started making it in the hog house, which is an easy mistake to make because we just designed the hog house. Let me show you what happens if you do that. So we had a when flag clicked, we had a forever loop, and an if loop, like we often do. And then we get this sensing block. And if I put that in that hexagon there and click the drop down, I won't be able to find hog house. I've got hedgehog, but I haven't got hog house. And we've asked you to find hog house. So if you're in the wrong code area, you won't be able to find it because you can't touch hog house because you're already hog house. So make sure you're making this code in the hedgehog sprite. I'll throw this away because we don't need that in there. There we go. What other problems might you have then? So I suppose you might have some problems designing your hog house. So here's my hog house. This one's slightly different to the one I showed you in the video. Everyone makes different ones. I've put a home sweet home sign. But what happens if it goes wrong? So for example, perhaps I do, a big line straight through the middle. I think, oh no, that's ruined it. But remember, you've got the undo button here. Of course, you've got the redo button as well, so you can put it back again, but you can undo it. Remember, you've also got the rubber as well. So if we do something else that we don't like, we can also use the rubber. And you can change the size of the rubber here. So at the moment it's, can you see the white circle there? And we can use it there. So that's size 40. That might be too big. There we go, rubbed it out. So remember, you can do all those things. And if worse comes to worse, you can just go down here and click the delete button, so long as you've not added your code yet. To click the delete button and just create a new one. So go to paint again and create a new one. It's no problem if you have to do it again. No one's ever going to know, are they? Right, so that covers that then. Let's have a look at the code that we added for the hog house. We're using slightly different code to what we've used before. We're using this loop. So this is a if else. So if then else. And the reason why we're using this is that we want to check if the hog health is greater than 161. If it is, we know the person's won because their health is high and they're touching the hog house. If it's not greater than 161, they haven't lost, but they need to work some more at it, don't they? They need to eat some more beetles, have a drink, eat some more worms, something like that. So if the hog health is less than 161, that will take them to this part of the loop, so this else bit, and then they'll do these say blocks, and then the person playing your game will understand that they need to go and eat some more beetles. So remember, you need this if then else loop. It looks bigger than our regular if loop, so that's a normal if loop. You can see it's a lot longer, so make sure you got the right one or it won't work. Let's put my code back together. There we go. Right, any other common problems? I suppose one thing that I would love to see is some more of your games. We've seen some of them already and they've been really good. So I'd love to see what you've drawn. What does your hedgehog look like? How does your hog house look? And how do you do that? So how can you send your games in? Well, what you want to do is share your game, and that's this button up the top. If you haven't got this button, that means that your parent or guardian needs to confirm the email account on your Scratch account. You might want them to get them to have a look, but normally when you log into the Scratch homepage, if you haven't verified your email, there'll be a big orange message going across the top here, and it will remind you to verify the email, and you can send a new email if you haven't verified the email. So make sure you verified the email account, otherwise you won't be able to see this share button. So let's try that out so you can see what it looks like on my project. It's just loading it again. So it may be your teacher's account that's been created, so they might have to look at their email too. So click the share button. So it says at the top here, congratulations on sharing your project. But you can still amend the stuff here. So we've got the title, so if you're happy with that, that's great. Instructions, so I'm going to change the instructions here. So I need to tell people what to do, how to play my game. So you need to move the hedgehog around with the arrow keys, eat the food and avoid the hazards, get to the hog house with enough health to win. There we go, so people know exactly how to make it, how to play your game, because now anybody in Scratch can see this, and there are millions of people on Scratch, so anybody somewhere, a completely different country might play your game. You can put any notes and credits here. It already credits ones that you've remixed, so you can see that where you've taken the original remix from our studio, you'll see these things at the top, which shows where your game came from. You can add some other things here, like you followed our lessons on earthgames.uk. You can add whatever you want there. At the bottom of this, you'll see that people can like your game, so that's this hearts thing. They can favourite it as well, that's a star. This funny spiral shows how many people have remixed your game. So if someone thinks it's really cool, they might remix your game and then make it into their own. And this little eye here shows how many people have viewed it, how many people have played it. There we go. And then people can comment on your game. So you might find that people comment and say what an awesome game it is. So once you've shared it, it's now available on Scratch for anyone to look at. So if you click on the bar at the top here and copy that, so that is the link to your project. And if I open that in another window, so if I paste that, it will take me straight to that Scratch project. And that's the link that you need if you want to send it to us. So let's just check that goes to the right place. There we go. See, it goes to the same game, doesn't it? And someone can play the game. And once you've shared your game, you need to send it to us. So go to our Learn page here. So our website, earthgames.uk, Learn, and then here it says Share Your Game. And here you'll see this email, so info@earthgames.uk. So you or your parent or guardian need to send us an email with a link to your project in. We'd love to see them, so please send them through, and we can share them on the website too. As it says, there's this thing here as well, the best 3 games will receive a prize and get put on our wall of fame. So all of them get put on our wall of fame. So we look forward to seeing them. Please send us some links so we can see what you've been up to. Another thing you might find is that you're missing that hog health calculation worksheet. It's fairly easy to sort of figure that out for yourself. You might have done it anyway, but if you don't know where it is, then go to our website, earthgames.uk, and there's a couple of places where you can find it. So you can go to Learn and Online Resources. It's just loading there, come on. And when you get on there, you scroll to the bottom, there we go. And we've got additional resources. It's this calculation sheet here. That's the one that you need. Or you can go Learn and Streamed Lessons, and you might have spotted it today when you came through to our live lesson. Here's the calculation sheet. So you don't have to use that sheet, you can just do it on pen and paper. You know, you don't need the actual sheet, but it might help remind you of all the things that you have to add in. Another important thing on the website is the Ask an Expert. So if you go to Learn and Ask an Expert, you can send us any questions that you've got. So if you're having any problems with your game that we haven't covered, then do ask us and we'll see if we can help. I think that's all the common problems to do with lesson 4. I'll just check and see if there's any questions we've had come in that I need to answer. No, it all looks good. So that covers the basic problems you might have with lesson 4. There's all sorts of other problems you might have, so do send us any questions through the chat field on this live stream. And if I don't get in the next couple of minutes, then send it on the website. Remember that Ask an Expert. So we've got a whole team of experts who are really good at Scratch who can help you out. No, I don't think we've got any more questions come through. That all looks pretty good then. Okay, so look forward to seeing you next week. So next week is lesson 5A. We move on to adding some hazards for our hedgehog. So at the moment, our hedgehog's got life pretty good, really. There's some netting, but you know, there's enough food for the hedgehog, but not many hazards. Next week we'll be adding a deep hole, because if hedgehogs fall in a deep hole, they can't get out, unfortunately. They need some rescuing. We'll also be adding a badger, which you'll be designing. So you can see my badger and see if you can do a better one than that. That's quite tricky design work, so we'll look forward to seeing how your badgers look next week. If you add stuff next week and you shared your project already, don't worry, because it updates it, so everyone who goes onto your game always sees the latest version. So you don't need to worry about finishing your game completely before you send it to us. You can send it in now and we'll have a look at it as the lessons progress. So don't worry if you want to send it in already and you're still doing the lessons next week and the ones after that. So look forward to seeing you next week for lesson 5. Have a good week. Bye.